BYD just had a record sales month. Their plug-in hybrids and EVs are absolutely dominating the market. What's really interesting is that the BYD Seal, which wasn't selling in China, suddenly saw a huge increase in sales. It was previously considered an irrelevant car, but now it seems that because people outside China are buying the BYD Seal, Chinese buyers are starting to take an interest as well. The sales numbers for BYD are impressive, and they are on track to become probably the fourth largest car manufacturer in the world this year. Just a few years ago, manufacturers, this growth has been truly astounding. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Vinny, and you're watching Four Wheels. It's great to see you. Let's take a look at the recent sales numbers, which were reported in the last 24 hours. Plug-in hybrids are selling well, and EVs are doing great too. However, BYD's sales were technically a record, but just barely. BYD sold exactly 342,000 vehicles in July. The previous record was in June, and to be honest, the numbers didn't increase much from June. But compared to July last year, sales increased by 31%. That's quite impressive and a credit to the Chinese car market, which now accounts for about 50% of all cars sold. In the last few months in China, 50% of the cars sold are plug-in hybrids or electric vehicles. Many experts think that China could reach about 70% next year. BYD stopped producing and selling internal combustion engine vehicles in March 2022. Volvo is doing the same, as are many other car manufacturers in China. The reason is that the demand for combustion engine vehicles is not really there anymore. Honda is shutting down factories in China, Toyota is doing the same, and manufacturers of combustion engine vehicles like Jeep are struggling. Mitsubishi has completely left China. General Motors and Ford will probably have to do the same. BYD's sales include passenger and commercial vehicles, like buses and trucks. They even sell forklifts, but those numbers aren't included here. Nonetheless, the numbers are quite impressive compared to some of their struggling competitors. Yes, BYD isn't growing as fast as Zeekr, which saw a drop in sales this month because it closed its factory for 3 weeks to update its production line. However, because BYD's sales numbers are so large, a 30% growth is massive. Regarding commercial vehicles, BYD sold 1,184 units, which is a 50% increase. Sales of BYD EVs were slightly down from last month. BYD delivered about 140,000 EVs. So out of the more than 200,000 vehicles BYD sold, most were plug-in hybrids. But remember, BYD's cheapest vehicles are plug-in hybrids. If their cheapest vehicles were EVs with decent range, I don't think the growth in plug-in hybrids would be as significant compared to EVs. But that's not the case. BYD has been targeting people who are hesitant to buy electric cars and are used to traditional vehicles like sedans. They are clearly going after traditional car manufacturers who sell combustion engine vehicles, aiming to dominate them, and that's exactly what they are doing. Let's start with the BYD Seal. Sales of the Seal are staggering. Last August, BYD sold about 6,000 units per month. By the end of last year, in December, they sold 15,000 units, which is usually the best month for all car manufacturers in China. Sales dropped to 5,000 in January, but last month, BYD sold nearly 35,000 Seals, which is 5 times more than the same month last year. Now there's a new version of the Seal, which is significantly better with much faster charging. The new Seal has an 800-volt architecture and 240 kWh fast charging, much better than the old Seal, which had 150 kWh fast charging. The BYD Chaser 05, a China-only vehicle, sold 25,000 units. The BYD Han, which comes as both a plug-in hybrid and a fully electric version, sold about 17,000 to 18,000 units. The new Seagull was recently announced at a price of $9,600. The media is buzzing about electric vehicles, and American car makers are worried about the new BYD Seal. However, the new BYD Seagull isn't attracting much attention outside China because people don't buy such small cars elsewhere. But if you can, the Seagull is a good choice. It will be available in some other markets outside China later this year. Sales of the Seagull have been steady over the last few months, with around 38,000 units sold. It's a good car for the price. The BYD Tang, a plug-in hybrid SUV, had 12,000 sales, which is surprisingly low compared to other options available in China. Sales of the BYD Dolphin have been surprisingly poor this year. The Dolphin sold very well last year, but this year it hasn't picked up pace. Cheapest version has a short range and slow charging speed. The premium version has a range of 430 kilometer and 150 kilowatt of power, which is quite good. The BYD Song sold well, but sales of the Song, a plug-in hybrid, have dropped a bit. Outside China, about 65,000 units were sold. The BYD Qin, a very affordable plug-in hybrid, set a record with around 74,000 sales in July. The best-selling BYD model is the Auto 3, which had a good sales month with about 41,000 units sold. It's not a record high, but it matches other record high months. The new Auto 3 has some nice upgrades and is a great deal right now, with features like wireless Apple CarPlay. The BYD E2, a China-only car, sold about 600 units, and the BYD Frig 07, another plug-in hybrid, sold only 316 units, a 93% drop. The Denza brand, of which Mercedes-Benz owns 10%, saw a drop in sales, delivering just over 10,000 units. Denza has announced discounts to boost demand. Sales of the Fang Chongba dropped to about 2,000 units last month. The Yangwang, BYD's luxury brand, had flat sales, but their new electric supercar, which will cost $230,000, is coming out in a few months. It's an impressive vehicle, very heavy but also very powerful and fast. These are BYD's sales numbers for July. I hope some of the recent upgrades will help BYD. Keep in mind that these numbers are very impressive considering that BYD's technology is somewhat outdated. They don't have state-of-the-art technology in batteries, charging speed, or motors. While their tech is good, it's not the best. For example, some competitors have charging speeds of 550 kWh, and the energy density of alternative lithium iron phosphate batteries is 20 to 30% higher. BYD has a new battery coming out, the Blade version 2, which will have improvements with higher energy density, giving about 15 to 20% more range for their vehicles. However, it won't increase charging speeds to the 550 to 600 kWh levels we see from other manufacturers with new batteries. In that respect, it's amazing how well BYD is doing. The brand is very strong, and their cars, particularly the plug-in hybrids, are reliable and well-priced. However, BYD might be starting to see a leveling off in their sales, with numbers similar to the last few months, rather than the historic growth we saw last year. Part of the reason might be that some people are waiting for new technology, while others are being drawn to impressive vehicles from competitors, which is also boosting sales for the competition. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. We made a video with the new BYD Shark, their brand new truck. Did you see it? It's right here. Thanks for watching. See you next time.